Well, welcome to the last admissions talk before deposits are due. So it's very exciting.
Should we introduce ourselves?
Yes, I'm Brianna.
I'm Steve Friedman. I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions at the law school.
I'm Kendra
Brianna,
Steve.
go ahead, Kendra.
Oh, and I'm a 1L.
What does a 1L mean?
My first year of law school.
So you're an actual KU law student.
I am.
You're not a paid actor, paid endorser of KU law?
No, I pay you to be able to say how great KU law school is.
And Brianna is our Director of Recruiting and Pre-Law Programming. So, well, that's great. We're excited to have some folks here today. This, we really, all of our sessions before now have really had an agenda where we had a theme or a topic. But this one, frankly, we're just open to questions and just ready to answer your questions, whatever you have. So if you have a question, feel free to post it or take yourself off mic. Otherwise, I'm just going to start grilling Kendra about her life as a KU law student. Kendra, where were you on the night of August 21st, 2019?
Oh dear.
Did class just start?
I think that's orientation, yeah, which we call entering student program. What do we do for entering student program? What do these folks have to look forward to in a couple months?
For our boot camp?
Sure, Lawyering Boot Camp, yep.
Yeah, so
start from the beginning.
Yeah, you start off, everybody comes together at the first week, which is nice. I'm sorry for our summer starters. I heard that you guys get to join the fun with everyone, but I do think that it was so helpful being in the room, actually meeting face-to-face everybody, and kind of learning what this new couple of years is going to be like, because it really is, it doesn't matter where you come from or your academic background. You really are starting, almost everybody's starting off on a whole new kind of way of talking and thinking. And so boot camp gives you about a week of asking all those questions that you're kind of afraid to ask right now, thinking you're the only one who doesn't understand, hearing terms, learning about the school, just learning the practical aspects of what life in Green Hall is going to be like. And so I think a year ago in August, I was, just learning all of that and coming together with my class. So that was pretty fun.
Great. Speaking of your background, where'd you go to undergrad?
I went to a small liberal arts school in Cleveland, Tennessee called Lee University. So
sure. How about any of our guests out there want to share where you went to undergrad? You can type it or you can just take yourself off mute. Be happy to hear from you. And now, Kendra, you have you're not a traditional straight through student, correct?
Right. I took about a 20-year break. So
20-year break. So
if I can do it, you can do it. Yes, haven't written a paper in 20 years, and the final brief is due tonight. So that's fun.
Cool.
So, yes,
your final brief is what? Your final brief is due tonight,
yes.
And you're on the chat with us.
I will say when you guys do your assignment, work on a little bit of time.
All right, we're having a little hiccups with Kendra's connection, which means we're going to need some help from the audience out there. So if you guys have some questions, please go ahead at least until Kendra can get back in here. So Brian went to American Public University, which I believe is that a military affiliated program, if I'm not, yes. So Brian, do you have a military background? Which branch? I imagine the best one, right? Army? Cool. Well, that's, definitely, we have a long history of having folks with military backgrounds. I wouldn't say it's quite 10% of our student body, but it's probably about 5 to 8% of our student body have a military background.
That's great. Do we know if there's any other military folks that are going to be joining the 1L class this August?
Absolutely. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know we've talked to Tyler Fergal, and there's
Marshall
Forrest
Brown.
Marshall Brown, who was Special Forces. Those are two that come to mind. And Tyler was Army.
There are more, and some of them are out of their military career a little bit longer too. I honestly was very surprised when I went to law school at KU. I didn't really even think about it, and there were quite a few military vets in my class, which was fantastic because I think that if you've been in the military, you have a whole different perspective. You have a lot of experience, which is really good for civilians to learn from. So I really enjoyed it.
That's exciting. Thank you.
I'd also say there's military spouses. So I know like in my class, we have several who have spouses that are active duty. And then I know like my husband was in the military, so I was married to an active military. So there's a lot of people, and it's nice.
Yeah, KU actually has a fantastic Office of Veterans Affairs. So if you have questions about, they provide a lot of practical help on, making sure you have residency and you're doing all the paperwork correctly. And also, I think just more of a community type support. They have a lounge you can hang out in. Although I think the law students who are military do a pretty good job of kind of developing a community in the law school. But we are going to force you to make friends outside of just military folks. So, Kendra, what advice would you give to someone preparing for law school this summer?
I would say kind of get your house in order. Like literally, the best advice I took for myself was I cleaned my garage out so that when it was winter time, I could actually park the car and didn't have to scrape every day. But just kind of those things that you will be weighing on you. You're really not going to have time your first semester. So if you feel like I felt like I had to have like my closets clean before I could start like this whole new life. But read that book that you've been wanting to read, or just kind of check some things off your list. Don't stress about trying to learn the law before you come to law school, because I've even found from class to class, professors are going to do a great job of telling you what they expect, walk you through it. And so don't, in essence, waste your time kind of going on, stressing yourself out, learning something that the professors are going to teach you. And so just do what you feel like you need to do, that you are mentally prepared to be able to really concentrate. And, so whatever that is for you, if it's relaxing, just kind of checking off those things that are on the bottom of your list that you haven't gotten around to.
Yeah. Well, this is great. Looking at the chats, looks like we have some folks with a lot of initials after their name in terms of graduate degrees. So that's great. I think you'll find that can be a benefit in terms of preparing for law school, just in terms of, having that kind of get it done even when, it's cloudy outside or sunny outside. Whenever there's a day you have something else you'd rather be doing, and, in law school, you're going to do law school first. So Kendra, speaking of things you have to do that aren't always the most fun. Although I think the legal writing, is it a brief?
Yes, brief.
Summary, is it summary judgment motion this time? Yes. So talk about that in legal writing. Legal writing actually is a really practical class. They actually teach you to do something that lawyers do. So what do you do in the spring semester in terms of the brief? What is the brief? What's a summary judgment motion? How is that organized?
So they actually call it lawyering class because they really made it a big deal to us that it's not just writing, but it's the practical aspects of what it is to be a lawyer. And so every 1L across America, they do this infamous 1L. We did a memo in the first semester, which is basically the standard the standard writing that you would do in from lawyer to lawyer. And then this semester, it's a brief, which is as if we are lawyers. Is it doing it? There, am I back? As if we
You-
are
you-
lawyers
we
and we're
never
writing.
left.
Oh, okay.
It got a little jumpy, but you were still there.
We're writing to the court and we're trying to convince and advocate to the court that our client, as a matter of law, should not have to basically, their case doesn't have to go on because a summary judgment is where the judge decides, yeah, there's not enough information. As a matter of law, this side wins. And so I'm trying to, they create a scenario, which is kind of funny. It's a little bit, it's like this bubble world. So they've created it, and we use the facts that they give us, and they create these characters, and then they give us real case law, and we have to actually act like we are writing to the judge and advocate and persuade them to basically rule in our favor. So
Yeah, if you go into litigation practice, which a lot of graduates do, you will write summary judgment motions. I mean, that's a bread and butter thing that lawyers do. So getting that experience in law school, and it's also a great tool for learning how to do legal writing. So yeah.
And I'm really looking at it like it's gonna, I have a TA, so we have like a 3L that helps us with our citing to make sure it's in the correct format, and then with the professor to have a quality piece of writing to put on my resume and that I can show potential employers. So I'm really, even though it's pass fail, working really hard to make it my best work that I'm proud of. So I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think there's a question from Paul for you, Kendra. What advice would you offer on how to best prepare the home family for the first year of law school?
Okay, so I have, like I said, I have 2 teenage daughters who are in their own world. You know, one of them's really big in musical theater, and the one's a cheerleader. And then my parents actually live with us, and so I think creating strong boundaries. I personally, before this pandemic, this crazy world we live in, I treated going to law school like a job, and so I would stay at the school and try to do all of my work and then leave. When I'm home, I'm home. And so I try to not have to do my reading back at home. Sometimes you'd have to, but for the most part, that helped a lot. In this world that we live in now, oh, my dog's over there, but in this world, I try to have, I have like an extra bedroom that I'm using as an office. And so I try to go in there, do everything that I'm trying to do. And when I'm out, I'm mom. And so I think creating strong boundaries and just really having that conversation. My kids are older, so that helps. I do have friends who have younger kids, and I do think having just those conversations with the other people in the home, especially the other adults that are helping and caretakers. Okay, this is what I need. Sometimes getting up early. I know for semester I'd get up early and do stuff, which would help because the house is quieter then. And just but creating intentional space and time to be the parent or to be the person in the home, if you're not married, if it's just like a significant other, being that person with them and not always doing law school, always everything's surrounded with your studies, but being okay that sometimes you're like, right now, like I have my brief due. So when I get off of here, I'm going to go back in the room and it's understood that that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the night. And that's okay. So.
I think the brief was the closest I ever came to pulling an all-nighter in law school. So I think I did went to bed around 3 or 4 in the morning.
I think that, so in this, there's another question from Paul, and what I'm about to talk about kind of explains it a little bit. And he asks, so you seem to distinguish how busy the first semester of 1L will be. Was the second semester easier, or was your second semester experience more of a product of completing the adjustment to the demands of law school? I think that personally, now that Steve mentions the all-nighter, I think that 1L year, although it is difficult, it's because it is basically changing how you analyze problems. You are becoming an attorney, which the attorney's mindset is different than the normal average person's mindset, because you're always issue spotting. Once you learn how to do that, it becomes a heck of a lot easier. It just takes a little bit of time. And the lawyering program that KU has is awesome because they will take you, the professors will take you step by step. Sometimes you will be in the step and you're like, okay, well, this is really easy. Sometimes you'll be in a step and you're like, well, this is difficult. But they take you step by step. So when you're in your 2L year, it comes more naturally. So some of it may seem tedious 1L year, but everyone's in it together. And the professors are so great at making sure that no one is in a different mindset than everyone else. Kendra, can you talk to that a little bit about how basically the switch in semesters, because my experience was that as time went on, it got a lot easier to understand. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think that's it, that you're learning a whole new skill set, and so everything just takes longer. It to do just the reading and prepare for the class first semester, that seemed like that's what all we were doing, and everything centered around, oh my gosh, should I get my reading done? And my second semester, you are just reading faster. You're understanding material. You know what you're looking for. You're not it's not as, you're not having to wade through it as much. And so you're able to add more things on. It's kind of, you're building a foundation for semester of just learning how to learn. And then second semester, you still have the training wheels on, but you understand how to do it better. So you can add a little bit more things. And I think second semester, we're doing more, I feel like maybe, but it's not as stressful because the learning curve, I understand how to read and how to take notes. And I think a huge thing for me was taking exams first semester. I had a lot of aha moments after the exams, but it's because you're now second semester, I know what professors are really trying to teach. When your first semester, you're kind of in the dark, and then once you take the exam, oh, I now know how to take my notes better. I know how to read more efficiently because I know what the exams are, and I had some aha moments. Even in lawyering, teaching you just how to think, like they were saying, how to analyze problems, that helps a lot. So.
Great. Well, if folks have more questions, we can stick around a bit longer. We do want Kendra to get back to writing that brief so she doesn't have to stay up all night.
No, we have till midnight, so that's good.
What do you have plans for this summer set up, or?
Yes, yesterday I finally got the aha.
Oh, congratulations. What is it?
Thank you. I'm going to work in the Jackson County prosecutor's office. So that's
fantastic. Yeah.
The big Kansas City prosecutor's office. So that'll be nice.
Brianna, do you have any kind words for the Jackson? Brianna was a prosecutor in the Wyandotte County office, different county, different state even. So there might be a little bit of, a little bit of an edge between the two offices. What do you say, Brianna?
I think the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office is fantastic. Jean Peters Baker is a legend. And then there are a lot of attorneys that used to be at Wyandotte that are over there now. So I'm happy to talk with you offline about certain people that I would tell you to align yourself with, because you will learn a lot from. But it's a great office. They do have units, which is different from Wyandotte. Wyandotte doesn't have any units. And so just try to get in with the unit that you're interested in, and then get to know those people so you get projects from them. But it's a great office.
For folks from out of town, we should explain a little bit. Wyandotte and Jackson County are both Kansas City, but Jackson County is Kansas City, Missouri, correct, and Wyandotte County is Kansas City, Kansas, plus correct, a few other municipalities and cities, but for all intents and purposes, that's the big division. So
yeah.
Well, that's great. What was the process for getting a job with the Jackson County DA's office?
Well, one of the things, I don't know if you guys who are coming in realize, is that KU, I didn't understand completely how the process worked, but they have a wonderful career service office that works with us, works with all the students to help. And they do provide a lot of different opportunities to try to get internships, but they also provided I call it the speed dating, but basically they brought in about 30 women lawyers, and they sit you down, and then you have like 5 minutes to do like a mock interview. Okay, mock interview, and you go around. And the last person I met, I just really clicked with her, and she had offered to like grab coffee, and I took her up on it. And she's a criminal defense attorney in Missouri, or in Kansas City, Missouri. And just talking with her, her best friend actually works in the prosecutor's office, and she was just like, I really think you would learn a lot. And so I just kind of the people that I met through the different opportunities that the school offered, I was able to put in my application and interview with them, and just I just kept kind of like, okay, hey, Tracy said that I should really be contacting you, and the doors open that way. So network.
100%.
That's great. What is that your goal, to be a prosecutor?
I don't know, but I do feel like I'm going to learn a lot. So I've actually talked to Brianna about like her she's like, you learn a lot. So I feel like, I don't know if prosecutor or defense attorney or just litigation on the civil side, but I do think being in that environment, between my 1L and 2L year, I'll see the justice system in motion, and I really do feel like I'm going to learn a lot either way. So
Yeah. Career-wise, just some unsolicited advice coming from someone that's been out for a little while. Whatever you're interested in doing, if there are two sides to what you're interested in, try to experience both sides. And you can do that through some of the clinics that KU has. So if you're interested in doing prosecution, then I would recommend you check out the Project for Innocence that we have. So that way you can, yes, so you can look at both sides of something. You will get a clearer picture of the whole pie, basically. If you're interested in doing defense, try to do the criminal prosecution clinic. That way you can see things from a prosecutor's side, which is also helpful when you have a client who is going through the criminal justice system. You can reassure them that, okay, yes, so I was a prosecutor before. It will take a little bit of time here and here. This is kind of what their process is. And you have a little bit more credibility to explain to your client because you've done it yourself. So any aspect or career that you're looking at, if there are two sides, I always try to encourage people to try as hard as they can. I mean, it's 3 years, which sounds like a really long time, but there's a lot packed into it. If you can try to experience both sides, that's very helpful.
I'm interested from some of our, like Paul or Brian or Steve, do you guys already know what you want to do? I was a non-traditional student. I still don't, like, I'm still like finding out what I want to do. But do you guys already kind of like know what you're planning on doing? Or are you kind of like me and let's see what interests me?
I'm kind of in the let's see what interests me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know people think it's crazy when I come in and I'm like, oh, you're a non-traditional, you must know exactly what you want to do. And I was like, well, no, I knew I wanted to go into law, but I'm wise enough and I've been out in the world long enough to understand there's so many options. So it sounds like.
Yeah, Steve, Paul and Steve have both said they're not sure. And I can tell you, I was a non-traditional student. I started when I was about 30 years old, and I wasn't sure. And I ended up being a commercial litigation, mostly in bankruptcy. And I don't think anyone goes to law school saying, oh, I want to go into bankruptcy commercial litigation. But I had a very typical story from a lot of people who end up in a certain field. And that is, I was just working at a law firm, and they made me an offer. They said, well, what would you like to do? And I said, I like that person over there. Can I work with her? And they said, sure, why not? And so I became a commercial litigator, bankruptcy. And also, you find it has less to do with the subject matter, so to speak, like whether it's health law or bankruptcy law or intellectual property, whatever it is. It has a lot more to do with what you're doing, or criminal law has a lot more to do with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and who your clients are. So if you'll find out as you go along, do you like a lot of personal interaction with clients? Well, that might be a small firm or small practice or legal aid type scenario. Do you like being in the courtroom all the time? Criminal law. People who are prosecutors and defenders are in the courtroom all the time. They also serve the public, which is another factor that comes in also with legal aid. If you're someone who just loves legal issues, legal problems, thinking deeply, working for a larger law firm can really facilitate that, because they need people who can think really deeply and do a lot of deep research and writing and things like that, especially in the first 5 to 10 years of their career. And so on and so forth. There's just so many different avenues out there, and you might find yourself directed in a direction and kind of pursue that. Or, like I think a lot of attorneys, you'll just sort of fall into a field that you feel comfortable with, that feels like a good fit for you in terms of your interest level and things like that. And how much you care about money, of course. That's also a factor. So it all, I think when you talk to people who've been out there for a while, that's a pretty typical story. So do we have any more questions? We're coming up on about 30 minutes, which is about the normal time we do for these things. Unless there's another question, I think we should turn and thank Kendra for spending 30 minutes on one of the most high pressure days of her first year of law school, outside of exams, of course. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks to all of you for coming, and for everyone. We're gonna have a lot more people download the video and watch it on their own time. So thank you for doing that too. Brianna, parting words?
Oh, no, just I wanted to make sure, I know we talked a lot about the career trajectory, and it's not uncommon either for you to try something and then realize that you don't like it or have it evolve. So even if you go to law school thinking you want to do one thing, just be open. You'll learn through classes what you like and you don't like. And it will happen. It happens to pretty much everyone. So just don't pigeonhole yourself. Be open to everything, and the classes will really help. Your experiences will help too. But we're excited to have you all join us.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're looking forward to seeing you in August. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.